Hey everyone, this is Sayak Pal, assistant professor, School of Media and Communication, Adamas University, Kolkata. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting subject, uh, where we have been exposed to this particular entity every day, right from the moment we wake up from our sleep till the time we go back to our sleep. We may not realize the importance of it and how we are being encountered by this entity, but we do. There are various forms, there are various methods that are there. So we are going to talk about advertisement. Now, in order to understand advertisement, we need to understand several things. For example, understanding the market, the consumers, their behavior, their psychology, the journey of a brand, the journey of a product from the inception to the decline, changing aspects of society, various other influences, for example, social culture influences, economic influences, political influences. So we are going to talk about them. But first thing first, we need to understand what is advertisement, and that is why we need to understand and discuss the fundamentals of advertisement. So let us start with the unit one, that is the fundamental of advertisement. And you can understand advertisement has grown uh, in leaps and bounds. One of the oldest forms of advertisement that could be found out, that human civilization, the current human civilization that could dig out, uh, was an announcement where a slave were ran out and the owner of the slave were actually sending out a message with a reward who would actually found him. I mean, who would actually give any information about that the slave who was actually eloped and ran away uh, from his owner. So, as you can understand, so those two very basic elements which are feeded into this example. One is advertisement is non-personal. So he hasn't created this message for his own consumption. He has created this message aiming at certain audience. So that is the first lesson for advertisement. It's non-personal. Non-personal form of communication because advertisement at the very end of the day, it is a form of communication, right? So now it is a non-personal communication. Now, then there is always a motive included into it, and it's a paid form, right? Now, how this paid form? Obviously, he might have spent some time to establish or written down that, or engrave that message on the stone, or if he have must have paid somebody who would do that task for him. So it is not free. Advertisement does not come free of cost. It does include some kind of cost into it. So that is a very important point that we need to remember. It is not free and it is not personal. It is actually aiming for a certain group of people. Right. So let us begin with the fundamentals of advertising because as I said earlier that we need to understand several factors, several aspect of advertisement. But before we get into that, those complexities and those ideation, we also need to understand some of the fundamentals of advertising. So advertising communicates message. Obviously, it has some embedded message into it. It should not be like that you are sending out a piece of advertisement and you are spending money on it, and it is not creating any purpose. It is not been creating any purpose. It is going haywire. It is like shooting the arrow in the dirt. No, it should not be like that. So advertisement has to have a message. Any form of advertisement, whether it's a digital format or print format, it has to have a message that would go and hit that specific audience, specific set of audience. Now, how would you select that audience? How would you select that particular market? We will talk about it in the later classes. Now, next one is create awareness about the product or service. Now, before we get into this point, we need to understand what is product and what is service. So if anybody doesn't know that what is product and what is service, the basic understanding and basic difference between product and services, tangibility. Now, products are tangible, services are intangible. Now, how it is tangible? For example, this cloth is tangible. I can touch it, right? This pet is tangible, right? This wire that I'm using as a headphone is tangible. So I can touch it, I can feel it, I can own it. Right? That is a feature, one of the most prominent feature of product. Next one comes service. Now, what is the service? Which is non-tangible. We are owning it, we are buying it, we are availing it, but we cannot actually touch it or feel it. I would rather say we can feel it in some sense, but we cannot see it in that way, like the way we do it for product. Now, what is service? Example, for example, whenever we are traveling by a bus, we are paying money for it, right? Because the bus is supposed to take us from one distance or one point to another point. So that's the service. So can we hold on to it? Can we own that service? Well, probably we can own that service for a specific period of time. For example, we bought a ticket for 20 rupees and we are going from point A to point B. So from that point A to point B, we are availing that particular service. Once we come to the point B, we get down from bus, then it no longer stays with us. For example, telephone service or telecommunication service, what most of us actually are availing, or internet service. We are availing those services, but it's intangible. We cannot touch it, right? But we are consuming that. So advertisement does not only cater about the product only, it also cater about the services. We see many of the ads from telecommunication services. We have seen ads from aviation industries. We have seen ads from hospitality industries, for example, hotels, resorts, and all these services, where they are actually giving us services, right? And we are paying money for it. So advertisements are also required for that section as well. Now, educate about the consumer and consumer about the users of the product. Usage of the product. Now, what if uh, I sell something in the market, the people do not know how to utilize it. For example, I started manufacturing flying cars, right? And there is no taker in the market because one fine morning you find that there are shops opened up which actually sell flying cars. But you probably are a fantastic driver, but you are used to driving the car on the road, but you don't know how to drive a car which would fly. You might get interested, but if you do not know the technicality, if you do not know how to drive a flying car, you'd probably think that it's a bad investment. Or should I go for it? Then what is the utility of it? Should I drive the car over to somebody's property, over to somebody's home, or where there will be, a road where we can actually drive the car on? So there are a lot of questions relating to usage and utility of the product. Right. So it is very much important for an advertisement first to establish the utility or make people aware of the utility of the product or service, whatever they are actually planning. Maybe you come up with a brilliant future plans of investment where you need to invest a lot of money right now, which will give you a great return. But if people do not know about it, why would they invest such kind of amount for that particular service? It is very much important, and it happens to advertisements most of the time that initial education or initial awareness are being created through advertisement. Obviously, whenever you are interested into something and a set of products or set of services, you will go and search for more information if you are interested. But first, the germination of interest or interest generation is done through advertisement. Right. Next one is reminder about the organization, products, and service. So why do you think that this big brand, if I take the name of this big brand, you would say, okay, fine, I have listened to it, I have heard about this brand, I have heard about their services and all. So why do you think they would need to send out advertisement on those brands? Why? Because they need to stay in the market. Beverage brand, restaurant chain, airlines, you know, television channel, or for example, food joint, um, this popular brand, you would hardly find a person probably who doesn't know about Coca-Cola or Pepsi, right? So why do you think that they would need to send out advertisements? Because they need to send out constant reminders to the people, to the consumers, existing and new state of consumers, right? So that what happens is so that they can still be aware of the product and they can still get the information and they can recall the existence of the brand. So this is very important because if I feel that okay, fine, I'm the market leader, I'm enjoying a large share in the market, and okay, fine, I'm not invest anymore on the advertisement, rather I will invest that money into something else. For example, bringing up new varieties or improving the quality, lowering the price. But you need to remember that if you do not advertise, how would people know what are the things you are doing? Or for example, the new strategy you are making or new price strategy you are placing. If they do not know, they do not actually get constant reminder of your existence, there are a lot of other players who are actually playing in the market who would love to take that your position. And probably they will heavily bombard the audience with the advertisement and the conversion will start from a low scale until it reaches to a large scale. So advertisement is required even for the market leader, even for the bigger brands. This is very much important. Next point, impersonal physical presence is not required. Obviously, for example, if you are involved in a celebrity thing advertisement, it is always not required for the celebrity to, advertise that in physically, advertise physically of that particular product or services. It is not always required. This is very much important. Now, why it is not required? Because advertising can be captured, can be shot, and can be repeatedly, publicized. It can be repeatedly broadcasted over different media, be it social media advertisement or print media advertisement or digital media advertisement, any form or audio so advertisement, any form of advertisement. It is not always required. The sponsors or the brands or the celebrity or the people who have been featured in the advertisement to be there physically. Now, when we are talking about advertisement, how can we not talk about the definition? That is very important, right? So, according to the American Marketing Association definition, any paid form of non-personal presentation of goods, service, or ideas for action openly paid for an identified sponsor. So we already talked about product and service, and it is very important. For example, uh, whenever you are advertising something, your product and service needs to be identified properly. How? If you are advertising for a hair oil and people do not know what good is this product for, if they do not know that what they are going to do with this liquid, what do we use of making an advertisement? What is the use of spending money or spending resources to make that particular advertisement? No, right? There is no point. So it is very much important that they understand the usage of it and they can identify the brand from the advertisement. How it is going to be done? For example, uh, you are making a very, very clean advertisement. Many of the times, advertisements are being advertisers, or rather, the creative people, they use only very limited amount of information on print advertising. For example, there only one object, and maybe the logo is there with the tagline. That's it. Because many times it has been observed that they use this space. emptiness or blank space um, to communicate, to communicate something they are trying to say, or to communicate the message they are trying to deliver. So this is very important for advertisement. But at the same time, it is also very important for advertisement to identify or make the brand identifiable. The logo, the tagline, or the catchline, one-line message. And at the same time, I would like to mention that the logo is very, very important. Even if you're removing, just for the sake of design, even if you're removing the last line or the tagline of the brand, please do not remove the logo because that is what would be the identifier. Because it might happen that people are actually liking your product or liking your advertisement and they are looking for which brand it came from. So that's why identifier has to be there. We already talked about paid form and non-personal nature of advertisement. Now, what we are going to stress on from this definition is that identified sponsoring, which actually we talked about with this example, the last example. So, identified sponsor means the brand, their logo, their tagline, anything that would make people aware that this particular non personal communication is from this brand. That is very important. Okay. Now, these are a couple of characteristics of advertisement. The first one is cost. As I said, we need a lot of investment while we are creating ads in terms of money, in terms of time. Now, you might say that it is fine. I'm not printing, I'm not creating any audiovisual ads. What I'm doing is I'm designing some ads on my machine, on my system, and then promoting this ad or sharing this ad on social media platform without investing any money. So I'm not investing money for boost posting or paid promotions, right? So you might ask that how can I incur cost? How do you say that we are spending money on it, we are spending resources on it? No, that is a wrong conception because even if you are not boot posting, even if you are not hiring a professional and paying him to make the advertisement, this is also important that the time that you are spending, you are probably spending or probably spend an hour time and turn that time into uh, cost. Right. How? For example, you could have done something else in that time and earned some amount of money. So your time also has some value. At the same time, the resources you are using, for example, laptop, internet connections, and electricity, the furniture you are sitting on, or for example, the room you are sitting on, electricity you are using to create that ad for that particular duration. That involves some kind of cost. Maybe we haven't incurred it, we haven't invested it, but somebody has paid money for that, paid funds for that. So it is very much important for advertisement that it requires some kind of investment. See, that's why R&D, development, production, media, and university work, all these areas actually require some kind of investment. Right. Now, what is R&D? I want to focus on, especially on R&D. R&D means research and development, right? Now, research and development is required big time. How? Because until and unless you do your research properly, until and unless you understand the market, until and unless you understand the nature of the audience or the changing that, dynamics of the market, how would you target that particular advertisement and how would you even conceptualize that particular message, the way you are going to draft it, right? So that's why research and development is the thing. Research and development is um, time taking at the same time costly affair, right? So why? Because if you look at the PLC curve, product life cycle curve, the research and development comes at the very first stage where even you haven't started earning a single penny. For example, you're trying to understand what the problem is or what the demand in the market is. So while we are talking about this R&D, let me refer one more thing that every advertisement actually are answering to a particular question. Now, the question derives from the problem. If you do not have a problem, you do not provide solution. How? Let me give you an example. I have a problem that I get easily cold. Right. So winter is coming and I might get cold. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use a sweater. I'm gonna use a fabric which would keep me warm. So what problem I have? I have problem from cold. So I need to keep myself warm. So for that, what I'm gonna need? I'm gonna need a sweater. Right. So sweater is my product. My problem is getting cold. Solution is to stay warm. Right. Now, how I'm gonna stay warm? I need a product which will be giving me the solution from the problem. Right. So this is very, very important. So as we are going back to the R&D, research and development, that how this thing is going to happen. Research and development involves identifying these problems and also finding on the right kind of, I think, most effective kind of solution for the problem. Right. For example, in the last example that we have taken, we need warm clothes, we need sweaters. Now, uh, I after identifying this problem, that a lot of people are in the market, they are also feeling cold during the winter, so they need something to warm them up. So there might be, you know, one crore people staying in my locality or the target zone that I'm targeting, and these people needs to be served. So I have a wider market. Now I need to identify that am I the first one who felt it? That the people are also feeling cold during winter and they need something to cover themselves and to make themselves warm or keep themselves warm. I guess no. There are other players who are actually playing in the market. Now I need to identify what are the list of the people who are actually providing warm clothes and what are the price they are actually providing. So I need to actually understand my competitors. I need to understand the position or the structure or the situation or condition of the market, right? And according to that, we need to actually come up with a solution. Now, I can play with the price perspective, so I can provide the same quantity and quality of um, warm clothes with a lesser price. Or, for example, I'm keeping the price in the same bracket, but I'm coming up with a very innovative design and a high quality, a high packaging, a better packaging. Or, for example, I can take the help of a celebrity or influencer to advertise for my product. So these are a couple of areas which are very, very important that I can stress on. Right. So that's why it requires research and development. Next point, income in it is impersonal communication, as I said. It is not personal, but at the same time, many a time advertisements they use a lot of symbols. Right. For example, if I have a skeleton symbol with a two straight bones in the cross position under the skeleton, that means what do you mean of that? What do you understand from that? If I see the sticker is pasted on or fixed on a door, wooden door, should I open the door? No, because it shows a sign of a danger. The human mind are actually been trained throughout the years. I'm talking about the adults most of the time. For this particular example, that they have been trained, we have been trained to identify certain, you know, symbols, signs, logo, words, and illustration, so that we can actually get the hint of certain message without the words have been spoken out or without the words have been written out. Right. So that's where the symbols comes in. Symbols, illustration, these things comes in. For example, if I if I see, if for example, consider me as an illiterate one, I cannot read or write, I cannot read any language. So, but I want to drink a cup of tea. If I'm feeling cold or I'm feeling dizzy, I will drink a cup of tea. So I see there are a lot of stores which has a lot of writings on them. I mean, the products they are selling, they're written in different language, which I cannot read. But in one of the stalls, I see there's a picture, and these stalls, most of these stalls look identical to me. Right? I cannot distinguish which stall is selling tea, which one is selling coffee, and which one is selling paratha. Maybe there are the other stalls which are actually selling different food items. But I cannot differentiate because they look very identical. Now, in one stall, I can see there's a picture of duck on a saucer, and there are, smoke signs on the cups, which is in emblem there. So immediately my mind tells me that this stall has a high probability of selling tea or coffee or hot drinks or hot chocolate. So I might the going and visiting going and every stalls to inquire about what are you selling, or are you selling coffee, are you selling tea, are you selling liquid chocolate or hot drinks. Instead of asking them, I can straight away go to that particular stall and ask whether they sell tea or not, which I require. So here the symbol works, right? How the symbol works? It tells me the kind of product or service they are doing. Right. Next one is it has various forms. So advertisement has various different forms based on the kind of audience they are dealing with, or kind of uh, geography, the area they are dealing with, or the kind of demographical area they are dealing with. So there are different forms of advertisement. Or for example, based on the media they are interacting with, the kind of media they are sending out their message to. There are the audio advertisements which are generally being aired on audio platforms, online audio platforms. There are print advertisements which has newspaper advertisements, radio advertisements, magazine advertisements, leaflet advertisements. There are different forms. There are audio visual forms of advertisements which actually includes uh, television advertisements, audiovisual advertisements on social media like YouTube and Facebook. So there are different forms. We'll talk about these different forms of advertisements when we will be studying about the media, advertising media. Right. Next one is use of various media. As this point is linked to the previous point, that if you categorize the uh, advertisement based on their circulation, based on their circulation over media, or based on their nature, then you can actually categorize your advertisement into different categories. For example, indoor advertisements, outdoor advertisement, display, classified advertisement, direct advertisement, advertisements in various medias and all. Right? Because all these things, indoor, outdoor, direct media, electronic media or television, radio media, these all are forms of medium, right? It promotes good service and ideas. So at this point, we have already discussed that advertisements, they promote some kind of product, some kind of services, or some kind of ideas. Now, you might ask that you often see some ads from government, right? You might ask that what kind of product they are propagating, or they are advertising. You might say, okay, fine. If I see an ad on Swachh Bharat, if I see an ad on Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, if I see an ad on, building up Saushalaya, right? So are they selling Saushalaya? Are they selling toilets? No, they are not selling toilets. They are not. Are they selling toilet fee services? No, they are not selling toilet fee services. But what they are doing, right? They are doing, or rather promoting the idea. What idea they are promoting? They're promoting an idea that if you build up a toilet, you will certainly have a better hygiene. You will certainly have a better or healthier, better and healthier atmosphere to operate. Right. So this is what they are actually promoting for advertisement. The next one is targeted system action. Now these are the four areas which advertisements actually target prominently. First one is inform, then persuade, then remind, and then achieve sales. So what is the first one? The inform. This is a very prominent point where an advertisement cannot fail, right? What is inform? That I'm there in the market. My products are there, my services are there. These are the features of the product. These are the USPs of the product. This is why you should buy this product from me rather than my competitor. You should buy this product from me rather than the brand B or brand C or brand D or rather brand A. Why? This is the information you are giving to the audience. Then persuasion means you are luring the customers to uh, buy your product or service. How? For example, you're giving more discount, flat 50% off, flat 20% off, seasonal discounts, Diwali discounts, or there are discounts, special discounts on this special occasion, holiday discounts. So these are luring the customers out of their den and purchase your products and services. Then comes the remind that you might say that even we might find many of the buyers, the sector buyers, they love seeing advertisements. They wish to buy it, but they wish to buy that kind of product for a separate time. They are not immediate buyers. So in order to be in their conscious mind, in order to be in the attention of those buyers, you need to constantly remind them that do not forget about us. For example, they have seen a brilliant advertisement on travel bag, right? With 40%, 50% or whatever discounts, right? With a very attractive features, it's sturdy, and it has a very nice texture, a certain color, and the wheels are really bigger and it's sturdier. So you really like the product, but right now you do not need it. Right now you do not need a travel bag, and then you go on for a travel. You go on for a tour. So what happens is that after a certain point of time, that opportunity arises. So if these brands that actually caught your attention do not keep that attention intact, there might be some other offers, there might be some other brands who would take that customer away. So this brand has to continuously hammer the consumer with the advertisement, with a reminder advertisement, right? And actually it means converting that customers and turning that customers to seller. Okay. So he or she is going to make the purchase. Invest the money, pay the money for the fees and of the product or service, and then making the purchase. Then number seven is mass communication process. So advertisement in most of the cases are not meant for a very specific group of people. There are exceptions. There are brands who actually, send out advertisements for specific group of people, but they are not generally, you know, very easily countable. For example, you are sending out an advertisement for only 50 people or 100 people. No, most of the advertisements are sending out, they are sent out for the mark, which denotes a very large group of people, very large segment of a section of consumers, right? And what are the media they actually use or they actually send out the message through television, radio, newspaper, outdoor media, leaflets, all these things are being used to send out the message. Yes, it is a competitive act because Until unless you have the monopoly in the market, for example, you are the only one who is producing that product in the market, where entry and exit in the market for that particular product is restricted, and it is not a free market or free trade area, you have to advertise. So entry and exit can be restricted for a certain production, can only be done by the government in most of the cases. And until and unless you have that kind of technology, superior technology or infrastructure, which would enable you to, to rule that market as a market leader or uh, a monopoly player. Okay. In most of the cases, there are competitors, there are people, there are other brands who are actually selling the similar kind of products in the market. Right. So it is a competitive act. So constantly, you have to be careful that the product or services that you are advertising are, being sold in the market with USPs intact or with a competitive advantages embedded into the package. Containers, you give them some reason. For example, you are offering the same kind of product with the same price, with the same benefits, with the same colors, which are already there and exist in the market. Why would a person or a consumer would come and buy that product from you? No, they will not. Or that particular consumer will not, because he's already getting a product or he also already buying a product from some other mm, seller. Until unless you give them something extra, for example, price little lesser, or for example, you're giving them a superior quality in the same price, or for example, you're taking a higher price but giving them a higher, better quality, and you have to justify that. Whatever thing you are doing, whatever offer you are claiming, you have to justify that. Not part of a product. Advertising is not part of a product. We do not consuming consume that the advertisement as a scheme and great selling ideas and message. So advertisement is not a part of the product because you cannot own the advertisement. Advertisement is there to uh, make you understand the feature of the product and then you know inform you the benefits, the USPs, and usage of the product. That is the primary reason for advertising. Or for example, to stimulate the interest in you. So you cannot own the advertisement. But at the same time, you can own the product or you can avail the service for a certain period of time that you are paying for. Right. Now, has an identified sponsor. Advertisement and an identified sponsor. How? Um, For example, advertisements are very much, famous for, as a medium, advertisement is very much famous for pulling up the brand values. And if something goes wrong, it can actually also pull down the brand values. So how it is gonna done? How it is done? In most of the cases, advertisements are having identify sponsors. For example, through their logo, through their name, through their tagline, and etc. etc. It is very much important for a brand to include the logo of the brand as an identified sponsor. So it has to have an identified sponsor. Now, let us understand um, the elements of advertisement, why it is necessary and how it is necessary. So that we call it five aims of advertisement. Right. The first aim is the mission. Marketing manager is clear about the purpose of advertisement, but see, this is why this is important because if you do not know what would be your target, how would you reach out to those people, and how would you, uh, you know, uh, reach out the target market and what are their needs, what are their demands, and how they are going to react. It's very difficult for you to prepare that advertisement. Literally, it will be again an act of putting a dirt in the dark. So there is no clarity, there is no guarantee that the dirt will hit the target. So there is no guarantee if you create a random advertisement without concerning the market, without considering the consumers and their needs, the competitors, the price, and these factors, it might be a misfire, which would take a lot of money and efforts and investment of resources and take these resources or take this investment into the garbage bin. Rather, you spend that money on something else. That instead of creating an advertisement with no missions and no objectives, I'm creating an advertisement randomly. Right? So this is why first step, the mission is very, very important. The objective is new product launch or persuade people to buy. There are kind of multiple objectives of the mission. It depends on the nature of the company, nature of the brand. For example, if you are launching a new product in the market, you might aim to make people aware of the existence of that particular brand and its nature, its usage, its USPs, and all the details. Now, if you do not want that, what you're gonna do. For example, if you want the sale, you are launching a new product and you want people to just buy it rather than considering the quality and quantity and the reputation of the brand and all. You can actually advertise heavily on the price point. Maybe you're giving huge discount just to clear out your stock. That's how we also get a lot of discounts online and offline, right? For example, when we choose 50% season end discount, 50% discount, 70% discount, or buy one get one offer, buy one get two offer, and for a limited period of time. So these are created to stimulate buyer to consume more. Think about a situation, for example, there is stock clearance sale for beverage brand. Stock clearance sale for a beverage cold drink brand, right? Or the beverage brand. Now, what happens is that uh, there is a buy one get one offer with the products which are having a short expiry. Now, you do not want people to focus on expiry date of that particular product. You want people to procure more products. But you have given buy one get one offer, right? Or 50% or 40% off offer. So what happens is people are many of the time the consumers are not checking the details, checking the expiry date or other details. They are checking the price. MRP is 100 rupees. Okay, fine. I'm getting it in a 50 rupees. So let's take another one because it's a buy one get one offer. Many of the times, what happens is the marketers are so clever that if you buy one product, you will get 30% discount. So if the product costs 100 rupees, you will get it for 70 rupees. But if you buy two, then you will get 40%, 40% off. So you're getting two at 60 plus 60, 120 rupees. Now, if you get three or more, you will get 50% off. So that means in under 150 you will get free. People will constantly compare that I'm getting this particular bottle of beverage. If I get one, I'll get it at 70. If I get two, I'll get it at 60. And for 150 rupees, I'm getting free. While you actually needed probably one bottle, but you ended up buying three bottles for the price of 150, maybe the half of the actual MRP. But you have actually ended up consuming more. So this might be the mission of that particular advertisement to make people consume more. The more unit of a product they sell, more money they are making. Next one is money. Refer to the finance of the ad purpose covered by the ad budget when to spend more or less on ads. So, as I said, advertisement is a paid form. You need to have some kind of investment for that ad. However minuscule the investment is, but you need to spend some money on it. on designing, on creating, on R&D, most prominently, where you are doing your research, you are spending that time and resources to understand the market. You are getting the data from the marketing agencies or marketing research agencies about the market, their customer profile, their demographic profile or geographic profile, the saturation of the market, and income capacity or income range of that market. There are a lot of factors that you need to consider while you are planning for a campaign in that particular market. If it is a new and unexplored market, but at the same time, you also need a lot of money to make that ad, right? For example, if you're making an ad for television, the production planning, R&D, these would cost a huge amount of money. And then comes the promoting those ads on channel, which the per second per minute cost would be very, very high. There also it depends on which channel you are choosing, which price and which time slot you are choosing. So money is involved in at every point, or on every stage. In the message, this is the most important portion. That's how you are designing the message. Whether you are using illustrations, you are using only words, you are using only the combination of words and illustrations, how you are using and what you are using, for what method you are using to create the message is also very important. So there are some restrictions for certain media. For example, if you're creating an audio ad, so you cannot use any visuals into it. Neither you can use any animation or graphics or real life images. So you have the limitation here that uh, you can only use audio. It can be sound, it can be effect, it can be dialogue, it can be science, but you cannot use other elements. So for some medium, the access, the creativity is restricted. Right. Moving on to the next one, media. Media means the medium where you are running your campaign. If you're running your campaigns on social media, that would be a different thing. If you're running your campaign on digital media, that would be a different thing. If you're running your campaign on television media, that would be a different thing, right? So media selection and creating the message for that particular media differs from one media to another media, right? For example, if you're creating an ad for television channel, it would suddenly have some perspective which should be different, which should be different from radio media, which should be different from print media, which should be different from other forms of media. If you're creating a message for YouTube, that would suddenly be different from television. Because you can, run a 15 seconds campaign on YouTube, or you can even run a longer campaign on YouTube. But if you want to run that particular campaign on television, it would actually require a huge investment for a very high TRP, programs, like and a leading channel. So these things are actually needs to be discussed. This thing needs to be actually understand and calculated at the very beginning of the creation of that particular advertisement. Right. So for example, on print, if you're creating a full page ad, that would suddenly cost a higher amount than creating a small or one ad which would occupy only the one fourth or one tenth of a newspaper. All right. So that you need to decide. If you're going for classified ad, that would obviously cost higher than obviously cost lower than the display ad. Because this plant has a lot of visuals into it, the color, pictures, animation, and not animation, graphics rather, and a lot of visual element into it, and they create more space, generally more space than the classified ads. So that you need to decide about the budget, which is again going back to the money and monetary investment part. Then fifth is the measurement. Measurement is basically the measuring the effectiveness of advertisement. So if you're creating an ad and if you're not measuring the outcome of it, how people reacted to it, how people responded to it, there's no point of creating any ad, creating that particular ad. So you always have to remember that if you're creating a piece of advertisement, it is very important that you also measure its effectiveness. How you're going to measure the effectiveness? You can actually, uh, you know, um, uh, compare the amount of sales, brand reputation, or for example, people are if we're going for an offer, for example, if we're going for a 50% discount offer, buy one get one offer, and this kind of offer, bundle deal offers. Then if you're seeing that after sending out that advertisement, you are getting a lot of sales that is happening. You're getting people that were actually coming in to the store and buying the product because of the offer. That means, and if there is a huge difference in sales, huge difference in earning revenues, then you might consider that ad has certain amount of value. If you see there are the sale has multifolded. For example, the sale is now two times, three times, 10 times, even 50 times. That means you have had a huge success of that advertisement. The advertisement has been a very, very effective one, and it actually, had a lot of impact on the people. So that is very much important for an advertiser or a brand who's sending out the advertisement or who has hired a company or hired a advertising agency who would actually create that ad and circulate that ad as well uh, to measure the impact. Because sometimes you measure the impact, it is very difficult. Now, for physical ads, for example, you're having newspaper ads on a physical newspaper. For example, you are having an ad on the road as a poster, as a banner, or backlit Sundays, any kind of this kind of ad which has a physical presence outside the digital platform. Sometimes measuring the impact is a bit difficult. But for example, you are running a campaign on social media, you're running a campaign on the digital platform or on the website, or it can be a Google pay campaign or the Google AdWords campaign, where you have invested money, you have spent money to promote that campaign. So the moment people are clicking on that and they are being directing on the website, you can actually understand the uh, conversion. So what happens for this particular case is that you can easily understand that fine, for example, you have set up an advertisement for your website, right? And previously you had roughly 500 people who would visit your website, and there were few conversions. Now, after sending out this ad on your about your website, you might see that there are on an average days 1,000 to 1,000 footfalls for your website. So your uh, footfall has increased twice or thrice. Or it might be four times or five times what you used to have before you send out that piece of advertisement. There, it is very easy, not very easy, but it is relatively easier to measure the outcome. But that is there for digital platform where you can actually track the behavior of the people, track how people behave, how people are reacting to your ads, right, for a certain period of time. And probably if you stop making those ads, if you stop circulating those ads, the effect will slowly die down. So here, as I said, the first one, the measurement is very, very important. So that you can actually plan your next state of advertisement. For example, many times we learn from our previous mistakes. We learn from whatever mistakes we have done uh, from our last campaign. We are not going to repeat those mistakes next time. Right? That how we are going to learn, we are going to understand. We are going to understand these from the fifth one, the measurement. Right? if we feel that we might feel that this particular ad campaign is very interesting, very effective, okay, fine. We have included big celebrities in the advertisement, and we know this is going to be a big success. But at the end, you have seen that the amount of money and time and resources you have invested to make the ad and circulate it, and the money you have invested to run the ad on television or on the media, the paid form, you're not getting that much of return. So that might not be a success. There might be a lack. There might be a gap between your understanding of the consumer and what consumer actually wanted. These things you can understand from the measurement section. So what we have learned from it, five elements. There are five elements or five aims of advertisement: mission, followed by money, then message, then media, and measurement. These five aims actually and advertisement. This actually completes an entire piece of advertisement. This is why this is also very important. So what we have understood so far for this uh, module, first we understood what is advertisement, is different aspects of advertisement, why how you can understand and characterize advertisement, how you can identify advertisement from other forms of communication, other pieces of communication or information dissemination. So this is how we can actually categorize it. Followed by a definition of advertisement, where we try to understand. This definition itself has the elements embedded into it, which would help us to understand advertisement. Followed by different characteristics of the advertisement, which has the cost perspective, a communication perspective, the various forms of advertisement, those are also included into it. Media, different medias that are used in advertisements, then its promotion and its relationship with the goods, service, and ideas, and targeted at some actions. So it is action-based advertisement that is also important, that is also embedded into it. Then it is its nature. Advertisement by nature is targeted for mass in most of the cases. That is also embedded. It also talks about the competitiveness of advertisement communication, where it actually aims at competitors and understanding their strategy, and then accordingly, you create your advertisement according to the uh, com- strategies that your competitors are following. Then we also try to understand that advertisements are not there to own for the consumers. The product can be owned, the services can be availed for a particular period of time, but advertisement cannot be owned. It's not part of the product. It is basically a tool to promote the product or the service or the idea, right? It is it's not possible. It is not possible to own a piece of advertising. And obviously, very importantly, the sponsor. It has to have a identified sponsor. Has to have a sponsor on the brand who, I mean, identification of the brand who are actually sending out this advertisement or the communication. Then we came to the five aims of advertisement, starting with the mission, money, message, media, and measurement. So next day, we will continue understanding different other features of advertisement as its fundamentals, because there are other factors, as I said, the marketing factors, the environment factors, the creative factors. There are other different factors that we need to understand if we need to understand advertisement and its behavior and its impact on the consumer. And only then we will be able to make an advertisement which is effective, which is impactful, and which would have certain uh, measured effect in the market. Thank you.